Hey everybody, we just finished the week 8 here in the 32 team franchise, season 13. We are going to recap these games. Of course, we had the Panthers and the Steelers sitting this one out on their bye week. But let's get started. So the 8-0 or the 7-0 Dolphins defeat the 1-6 Titans, and they keep their win streak alive. They are, I believe, the only team left who is undefeated. We see Newton with over 356 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tavares Jackson was 233, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was injured. That's why Freeman came in. No, was he? I don't know if he was injured or if he just came in garbage time. I forget. It was a while ago since I played this. But big performer being Calvin Johnson Jr., 239 yards, 3 touchdowns. A.J. Jenkins, who's been having a fantastic season, coming in with 2 touchdowns and 55 yards. Jennings, 112. So Titans there with probably the second overall pick if the draft were today. Then you got the Buccaneers almost defeating the Cowboys, but with this win, Russell Wilson is able to get the Cowboys the 7th seed so far in the playoffs. Still 10 more weeks to go. Well, actually, a lot more weeks to go. But the point is, they're getting themselves in that playoff picture. Wilson with an impressive 90 yards on the ground. Kareem had 7 attempts as well, but only 41 yards. We see, I think it's James White. Yep, James White getting 1 touchdown there. Then McFadden only 66 yards. We see Jerome Simpson 136 and Larry Fitzgerald 101. Then moving on to Saints and Raiders. Michael Vick is 2-0 as the Saints starting quarterback. I guess starting Geno Smith was a mistake. Smith was not ready to start apparently because Vick just had 2 games and he is 2-0, the 34-year-old scrambler. Again, I think I mentioned this before, but really need to start tanking some of his speed because 95 speed at 34 years old is just not realistic. But he has 78 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 68 yards rushing with Isaiah Peed. Then we got Vereen, 48, Pierce and Green not really doing much. So Raiders fall short. We see Julio Jones 1 yard shy of 100, 2 touchdowns. We see Sammy Watkins and Mariani each with a touchdown apiece. And then the team I thought that was going to be the worst in the league is now 2-0. No, maybe not 2-0, but they have 2 wins with Brock Osweiler. And he's playing them out of the need to, not the need, but maybe the ability to draft Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota. So this is interesting because he is only 23 years old. So if he is given the opportunity to really develop, I mean, this is his 3rd season. I think he sat more with the Bengals the first year. Then he had his starting year with them, didn't go very well, which is why they moved on from him with the number 1 overall pick. But, hey, Green Bay could bounce back. I mean, we'll see what they do. This is not a good division this year. Palmer, 135 yards. He did get injured and came back in. Cutler may even get a chance to start, even though they did trade for Palmer to be their guy. Even though they are 1-7 in this division, I guess technically Chicago is still in it, because both teams, all these teams in the North are bad. Cobb, 106 yards and 1 touchdown. But, hey, Green Bay doing what they need to do to turn around their season. Jeep Chris, their head coach, was on track for being a one-year coach firing. Anyway, going back to the Colts and Patriots, and it's a smackdown here in New England. We see Tom Brady with 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Cousins, 263, 1 interception. Cousins with a rushing touchdown. Not great for them, but Patriots only going into 4-4, so they're still struggling, but they can turn their season around at any moment. Never count Tom Brady out. The Colts right now are the number 1 seed or number 1 pick in the draft. They're the worst, the 32nd team in the league. Then the Browns put on a clinic here in Cleveland, defeating the Baltimore Ravens. We see 45-28. 4 touchdowns, 274 yards, 161 yards rushing. It was all Terrell Pryor just going off. So just absolute insanity. Andre Johnson, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Johnny Knox, 2 touchdowns. We look at Baltimore and Kaepernick, just 238 and 3 TDs, which is not terrible, but just not enough to keep up. As you can see, he's also the only one to put up points. He scored with a rushing touchdown as well, but Kaepernick's 4 touchdowns fail compared to the 6 touchdowns by Terrell Pryor. Trying to remember, was there any defensive scores? Nope. Special teams, I don't think. Okay. Yeah, 4 touchdowns is 28. 6 touchdowns. Yeah, 42 points and a field goal. All right, and then moving on, we've got the San Francisco 49ers falling to Buffalo. So 2 teams that had only 2 wins, and it was somehow the Bills coming away with it. Both teams struggling this year. Old man Breeze not having a great year. Jones-Drew, 112 yards, good rushing performance from him, and good receiving. So he had over 118 yards on 218 yards on in the game, split between rushes and catches. Not really any big performer here. Jacoby Jones, their lead receiver, gets 2 touchdowns. Buffalo in the loser bowl here getting a victory. Then we've got the very important game between the Jaguars and the Texans, and Colt McCoy breaks the 4-2 tie and gets the field goal victory over the Texans. So a lot more season to play, but the Jaguars needed this win against their top rival right now in the AFC South. Jaguars are the 3rd seed in the playoffs if the playoffs started today, getting that 1-game lead over the Texans, as well as maybe the tiebreaker, depending on when they play next. So McCoy, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sanchez, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Spiller getting 78. You see Barner and Pierman combined get about 73, so about similar rushing attack there. DeMarco Murray got injured. He's out for 3 weeks now. So Jacksonville going to be trying to make up without him. We see rookie Allen Robinson leading the way. Deion Sims, he was the rookie last year and actually gained a lot of points because, let's just say, he had a pretty solid rookie year for being a lowly rated tight end. And then we've got the Bengals versus the Chargers. Bengals went nearly tied the game to go into overtime, but they went for 2 and failed. So they could have won this game, but the Bengals fall 3-4. Had they won, they would have been right there with Pittsburgh for the division lead. But Rodgers was able to come away with a slight victory, bringing the Chargers to 4-4. Foster, 97 yards. We see Freeman only with 24. And then pretty modest spreading the ball around on both teams for receiving. Then keeping it in the AFC West, we see Bradford cutting the Chiefs' miraculous Bortles run here for Kansas City. Denver getting the 1 touchdown by Bradford, 2 rushes by Bradshaw. Bradshaw, again, he's a highly overall running back, 88 overall, one of the better ones in the league. I just never really saw him as that solid as a running back, but he had 1,200 yards last season, 721 this season, and Denver is trusting their running game. So 130 yards. We see Dree Archer trying to get some rookie stats here. Only 48 yards, 2 touchdowns so far. Trying to get him involved in shotgun plays, but he wasn't really that great in real life. I mean, he was that kind of dual threat kind of. He could play quarterback, he could play running back, he could be a receiver. So I'm trying to use him in fun, creative ways. But sometimes Madden limits you. I mean, they have some plays that are good, but you know Madden. And then we've got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Now in this one, Stafford got injured in the first quarter. As you can see, he was 2 of 2, 25 yards. Game probably would have been different if he played the whole time. But Mike Glennon steps in and throws for 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost pulls the victory away. Even Lynch got 56 yards, but he got injured. So Stafford comes back this week off of his bruised sternum, whereas Lynch here has a 3-week injury extending from this season, or of this game. Morgan with 86 yards. We see Thomas Adams getting some catches. We know that Evans is still injured. He'll be coming back likely next week. But Thomas Adams, Morgan have been carrying the load in the receiving core. And then we see Dalton almost with 200 yards, but he didn't need them. Marino, 117 yards with 2 touchdowns. And then a kind of a wide receiver by committee there. No standout performer there. Jernigan and Givens with the touchdowns. And then we have the St. Louis Rams, who lost last week. They lost their win streak, but this time they are able to snap the Jets' win streak. So we see the 21-14 victory. Luck with no touchdowns there, except for the rushing touchdown, just no passing ones, 1 interception. Alex Smith with 2 touchdowns. LeSean McCoy and Portis just absolutely garbage in the running department. Ben Tate get 94 yards. Gerhardt 16. 1 touchdown there for Tate. Hakeem Nicks with 110 yards receiving. Then little mediocre catches there. We see Jarius Wright having another big game. Let's see his season right now. He's already surpassed his season last year, and now given Antonio Brown has been injured, now he comes back. We see Percy Harvin now injured. So we got Brown and now Wright being the starting wide receivers as opposed to Harvin and Wright. We see Welker also getting some catches, but they lose their undefeated streak. Then the Detroit Lions defeat the Minnesota Vikings. This was also a very tight game. Both teams making mistakes, but we see the biggest stat there is 6 sacks for RG3. He had a hard time against this pass defense. And when we look at some of the sackers, we got Deion Jordan, Orakpo, Timmons, Livingston, and Fredericks sharing that sack. So, I mean, Deion Jordan, man, he's living up to that 4th overall pick in this franchise much better than he did last time. So we look at his last season, he didn't do that much, but he's already got 5 sacks this year, where he only had 1.5 sacks last year. Timmons is always pretty solid, but we see from this year and last year, we've got, let's see, 41 total tackles. He had 6.5 sacks, already halfway there this season. Timmons, he's pretty much a beast. He's got 6.5 sacks. He's already got 7.5 this year, so he's past his sacking record. Or not record, but hit what he did last season. And so, again, nothing really dynamic here in either stat categories, but just a solid win by Detroit to go up 2 games over the Vikings and, well, basically 2.5 games over the Packers, because now the Vikings and the Packers are tied at 2 wins. So they're not looking too great this season. So not looking like an MVP season for RG3 this year. Then you got Matt Barkley defeating Johnny Manziel. Manziel really having a rough game aside from like a really long, I think it was a 54-yard pass and a 49-yard touchdown pass there to Thompson. So Kelsey having a good week. He hasn't had many of those, I think, this season. It doesn't feel like he has. Yeah, he's been pretty mediocre this season. Getting some touchdowns early, but nothing else since. Gets 140 yards this season. He has a 1,000-yard receiver last year. I don't know if he'll make it this year. He might. Depends on if Johnny Manziel picks up with him or if Manziel's kind of is more sluggish. We see had 193 yards last week, 263 this week. Not bad for a 57 overall partier. But despite all that, we see Matt Barkley getting the win. So Giants go 4-3 over the Commanders, who are now 1-6. And then the Atlanta Falcons end up getting their win streak snapped. The Eagles lost last week, losing their win streak. And now all of a sudden they snap the Falcons. So Eagles are the number 1 team in the NFC. Right now the Jets are still the number 1 team. No, the Jets. The Dolphins are still the number 1 team in the league and in the AFC. Manning, 289 yards, almost came away with the victory. But instead of getting the touchdown, he could only tie the game for 28-28. And then McNabb drove the team down for a field goal. And that field goal was kicked by Zach Hawker, a 67 overall rookie kicker, getting a game winner. Good for the youngster. Bell, 74 yards. Bernard, 37. We see 102 yards by Brandon Meyer because I think Thomas got injured, or maybe I was just using the second tight end a lot. But he had a pretty active game where, yeah, he's had 3 catches all year for less than 100 yards. Finally gets 4 receptions and 102 yards in this game, so good for him. Where Julius Thomas has been kind of the main receiver for them as a tight end. But Sanders, 75 yards. But it was Jackson with 104. Benjamin. But also Benjamin had 2 kick return touchdowns. So this is the 98 speed, 97 acceleration, 2 kickoff return touchdowns. Really, it's the special teams of the Eagles that keep them undefeated keep them winning and being in first place. So impact performers, you can see them all up here. I don't know if I want to read them all to you because I don't want the video to be too long. But Clowney gets 2 sacks this week, so finally the number 1 overall pick starts to rack in some sacks. Deion Jordan there, the 4th overall pick last year, is like, get on my level. Johnson, 140 yards, good for him. Manziel, I guess, got a shout-out despite still losing the game, whereas Derek Carr is already 3 wins with the Bengals. Weekly leaders, 5 touchdowns for Newton, 364 yards from Brady. The rushing leader this week was Terrell Pryor. And then we have 2 rushing touchdowns. Let's see. 2 sackers. Harris there with 2 interceptions. An injury report, just some more updates. Gates, Gordon, out for 3 weeks there. DeAndre Hopkins out till basically the end of the season. That's a big loss for the Texans. So looking at the division shakeup, we've got the Dolphins, Jets, still Dolphins number 1 in the division. Jets number 1 wild card seed, which is kind of similar to last year. Pittsburgh is 1 game ahead of the Bengals and about a game and a half from the Browns. We see the Ravens 2-6, bottom of the division. Dan Quinn's got to do some work there to change that franchise. Who knows? They could be in the play for a Jameis Winston or a Marcus Mariota. Then you've got Jacksonville Jaguars, 5-2, made that big win against the Texans. Then 1-7 for the Titans and the Colts, who hold the 1-2 picks in the draft so far. We'll see how these bottom feeder teams adjust through the rest of the season. Then you've got Denver Broncos, 6-2, 2 games ahead of the Chiefs. And then about 2.5 games ahead of Oakland and San Diego. So we'll see if Rodgers and Matt Ryan can turn that around. Gotta say, very competitive division and with some top pick quarterbacks. You got Matt Ryan, top pick, Bradford, top pick. You've got Rodgers, a top pick, who was 3rd overall. And then you've got Blake Bortles, who was, I think, 3rd overall. Then the NFC, we see the Eagles 2 games ahead of Dallas, which is great for them. Dallas hit that 7th seed right now. New York right behind them by half a game. Commanders looking to be picking in the bottom of the draft. Then you got the Lions 2 games ahead of the Vikings. And you see the Packers and Vikings right there tied. Green Bay with net points of 42. So that's not great for them. But Chicago even worse at -66. I was visualizing Jameis Winston as a Packer. Still can happen, but now he might be a Chicago Bear. And I know how Bears fans feel about their draft history and quarterback. So, yeah. Atlanta Falcons, they snapped their win streak. However, they are still 4 games ahead of the Panthers and the 4.5 games from the Saints. We see the Buccaneers 2-6. For all we know, they could be in the running for trying to get Jameis Winston. Because if Blaine Gabbert doesn't seem to be the guy, they might decide to move on from him. And then the Rams are a half game ahead of Seattle. They lucked out that Seattle lost to the Cardinals. Largely due to that injury to Stafford. And then you've got the Cardinals 5-3 right there in the hunt with them. And then San Francisco, who also could be in the market to draft a young quarterback. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, as you can see, Colts, Titans, Bears, Commanders, Packers, bottom of the league here. When we look at stats now, league leaders, we got Cam Newton, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Andy Dalton, and Matthew Stafford. Nothing surprising there. Then we see Rodgers and Manning, Newton, Brady, Wilson. And Wilson's tied with Tavares Jackson for touchdown passes thrown. Actually, let's see. Interception leaders. We got Manuel, Wilson, which, again, Wilson's just like an interception machine, man. He throws a lot of them. But, yeah. Anyway, Flacco's up there. Brady's up there for interceptions this season. Kaepernick, Jackson, Griffin. Not good for the season for them. Bradshaw with 721 yards. You see Ryan Matthews, Chris Johnson, Trent Richardson, Darren McFadden, the top 5. Mind you, there are bye weeks, so some players have played more games. Charles with 10 rushing touchdowns this season. And then we see Forte and Bradshaw with 9. Then receiving, Calvin Johnson already at 1,100 yards. He could have another 2,000-yard receiving season. Julio Jones, almost there, with almost over 1,000. Then Santonio Holmes, Mike Wallace, Deshaun Jackson. Then we look at tackles. Gerard Mayo is leading the charge with 61. Stanley Arnaud and Ernie Sims, Brian Cushing, Michael Kendricks. Then you got sacks with Bruce Irvin leading the way, Lawrence Timmons. Mack is a top 5 sacker. He's actually top 4. Because there's a tie there for 5th with Dayton Jones, Kareem Martin, Michael Johnson. Clowney's now at 4.5. He was down to like 2 before. So he's been playing more of a role these past few weeks. Clay Matthews also at 4.5. Mingo, the former Rookie of the Year, there with 4 sacks. Then you got the interceptions with Demario Davis with 7. So he's been a pretty solid linebacker for Denver, playing into a lot of their victories because he's gotten some good picks off of me. Then we have a massive tie for second place with all these 4 interceptions. Hall, Claiborne, Brown, McKelvin, Kayson, and Smith. Kicker, I don't know if you care about these. I don't even know if you can sort. I don't even think you can sort in this. So, yeah, this is where we're at. If we look at team rankings, Dolphins are the number 1 team in the league, followed by the Eagles. Interesting, they have the Rams there at 3, Jets, Falcons, toothless pass rush, Swiss cheese defense. Yeah, it's funny because the Falcons are like really low overall. They're like a 76. If I go quickly through, it's 80, 82, 82, 81, 80, 78, 79, 81, 79, 80, 80, 83, 81, 79, 82, 82, 83, 80, 82, 79, 81, 80, 78, Green Bay, that's why they suck, I guess. 81, 76, 80, 80, 84, 82, 81, 81, 82. So we have the worst overall team, but with Peyton Manning, are somehow the second seed in the NFC. So I guess that just plays to how great Peyton Manning is, and he's only an 83 overall star quarterback, right? He's aging. He's how old is he? 36, 37, 38. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that makes sense. So a 38-year-old quarterback, Peyton Manning. I did bump his awareness to 99 because it just should be at 99. Every other stat should be going down. But yeah, if you're looking at the playoff picture right now, we got the Eagles and the Dolphins with a bye. Houston and Denver would be taking on the first playoff game. The Falcons and the Cowboys, the Rams and the Cardinals, the Jaguars and the Chiefs, the Steelers and the Jets, and then Detroit versus Seattle, who is the number one wild card seed for the NFC. So thanks for watching the video. Thanks for these hearing these updates. Hope you enjoy them. I know these are a bit more dry than some of the other content. I do plan on having more like the quarterbacks in 12 years. Where are they now, and what have they done? And maybe give you like who the coaches were over this span. Cause I do have a whole coach file. I'll try to do the same thing with like running backs or different like highlights or top 5 running backs each season or something like that. That might be fun. So if you like these videos, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on these this series. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.